Hello students. In this lecture we will talk about the acid and bases. In general, acids were defined as substances which have properties like sour taste, turns blue litmus into red, having ability to dissolve substances insoluble in water and react with certain metals to give hydrogen gas. On the other hand, if we define bases, then bases are the substances which have properties such as bitter taste, turns red litmus blue, and neutralize acids. But in chemistry, there are some concepts which explain the acid and bases. So, according to that, the first concept is Arrhenius concept of acid and bases. According to this concept, what is acid and what is base? So, according to Arrhenius concept, acids are those substances which dissociate in water to give hydrogen ions. For example, substances such as hydrochloric acid, HNO3, acetic acid, etc. are acids because when we dissolve in water, they dissociate into H positive ions. They give the hydronium ions, H positive ions. So these are the examples. When we put HCl in water, they dissociate in H positive and Cl negative ions, which give the H positive ion, so it behaves as a acid. Then it may be noted that the acids like sulfuric acid, H3PO4, etc., which contain two or more ionizable hydrogen atoms, can dissociate in more than one stage, giving H positive ions in each case. Those substances which contain two or more ionizable hydrogen atoms are called polyprotic acids. Then we will talk about bases. So what are bases according to Arrhenius concept? Bases are those substances which dissociate in water to give hydroxyl ions, OH negative ions. So examples like sodium hydroxide, when we put in water, it will dissociate into N positive and OH negative. So it give OH negative hydroxyl ion, so it behave as a base. Then journal, according to Arrhenius concept, acids give H positive ions in water and base give OH negative ions in water. Then we discuss the strength of acid and base. In this concept, the strength of acid and base depends upon the capacity of ionization to H positive and OH negative ions. Means which acid completely ionized in aqueous solution are called strong acid, and that acids which are weakly ionized in aqueous solution are weak acids, like hydrochloric acid completely ionized in aqueous solution, so it is strong acid. On the other hand, acetic acid do not easily dissociate in water, weakly ionized in aqueous solution, so it is a weak acid. Like that, bases like sodium hydroxide completely ionized in aqueous solution, so it is a strong base. But the other hydroxides, calcium, aluminium, ammonium hydroxides, which are only slightly ionized in aqueous solution, are called weak bases. Then what are the limitations of Arrhenius concept? First is, according to Arrhenius concept, acid must contain hydrogen and base must contain hydroxyl group. But there are many substances like ammonia, calcium oxide, sodium carbonate. They do not contain hydroxyl groups, but they are behave as base. Similarly, there are substances such like carbon dioxide, SO2, SO3, etc. They do not contain hydrogen, but these act as acid. So this cannot be explained by Arrhenius concept. Second, Arrhenius concept of acid and base is applicable only in aqueous solutions. This concept is failed to explain acid-base behavior in non-aqueous medium like liquid ammonia, liquid sulfur dioxide, alcohol. This is only applicable when we take solvent as a water in aqueous solution, only in water. Third, Arrhenius concept fails to explain the reaction between an acid and base in the absence of water. It cannot explain those reactions which are taken in the absence of water. So these are the limitations of Arrhenius concept. Second concept is Bronsted-Lowry concept of acid and base. According to this concept, an acid is a substance which can donate a proton and base is a substance which can accept a proton. So acid is a proton donor and base is a proton acceptor. So these are the examples which, for example, HCl plus NH3 changes to NH4 positive plus Cl negative. In this reaction, hydrochloric acid loses a proton. So it is a proton donor. So it behaves as an acid, while ammonia accepts a proton. So it is a proton acceptor and act as a base. So these are the reactions, acid-base reactions. It is also called proton transfer reactions. There are certain substances such as water, HCO3 negative, HSO4 negative, etc., which are capable of donating as well as accepting the proton. Means that these are substances behave as proton donor as well as proton acceptor. So these are called amphoteric substances, which are capable of donating or accepting the proton are called amphoteric substances. So water behave as an acid and a base representing the reaction. Then we talk about the relative strength of conjugate acid and bases. According to Bronsted-Lowry concept, strength of an acid depends upon the tendency to donate a proton, and strength of base depends upon the tendency to accept a proton. Like in HCl, when HCl dissolve in water, it give easily proton and convert water into hydronium ion H3O positive. So we said that HCl has a strong tendency to donate a proton. So it is a strong acid, but Cl negative ion has a very little tendency to accept a proton. So it behaves as a weak base. So what are the advantages of Bronsted-Lowry concept over Arrhenius concept? First is it can explain the basic character of substances like sodium carbonate, ammonia, which do not contain OH negative group, and it cannot explained by Arrhenius concept but explained by the Bronsted-Lowry concept on the basis of protons. Second, this concept is not limited to molecules but also cover the ionic species to act as acid or bases. Third, it also explains the acid-base reactions in non-aqueous medium also, which cannot explained by Arrhenius concept. Then what are the limitations of Bronsted-Lowry concept? First is it cannot explain the reactions between acidic oxides like carbon dioxide, sulfur trioxide, etc., and basic oxides, calcium oxide, barium oxide, magnesium oxide, which take place even in the absence of solvent. Second, substances like BF3, LCl3, FeCl3, etc., are known to behave as an acid, but they do not have protons to donate. So this is also cannot explained by the Bronsted-Lowry concept.